Top Med Talk.
Hello and welcome to Top Med Talk Down Under. I'm Kate Leslie and I'm here with my co-host Andy Cumpstey at the Australian and New Zealand College of Anaesthetists and Faculty of Pain Medicine annual scientific meeting in Cairns in far north Queensland in Australia. This is our last podcast, Andy.
It's sad, isn't it, Kate? It's come so quickly this time. It's such a fantastic meeting, though. There's so many good things to look back on. It's been a brilliant few days.
So we've had lots of great podcasts. We've been to terrific sessions. There's been some great parties. We're all a little bit tired and emotional after last night's tropical soiree and dance party.
I've never been to a tropical soiree before, but it was brilliant. We'll have to do one of those again. It was a great way of getting everyone together, and you really feel the whole fellowship collegiate vibe that you have here in Australia. It's brilliant to see from an outside perspective.
So we thought we'd run through a few things about the meeting and why it was so great and signpost you to some of our terrific podcasts. So the plenary speakers, we always have some fabulous international guests. What were the highlights for you?
There's so many highlights from the plenary talks, I think, Kate. I mean, the plenaries are always such a big part of this meeting, aren't they? But you get some fantastic international speakers coming in to do those sessions. So Alana Flexman gave a really good opening session, again with the theme future-proof in mind, about future-proofing our specialty, looking at how we're all dealing with older patients on a daily basis, and also looking at more complications that we're seeing, such as perioperative stroke. I learned lots in that session. That was a really fascinating lecture. And then Chris Connor as well has done a series of really, really inspiring but quite amusing, but very different plenary sessions. I've never been to a session in an anaesthetic conference before where someone compares chips in a Mortal Kombat game to chips in a NATO missile launcher to the same chips in a piece of anaesthetic equipment. He somehow managed to tie that together brilliantly. And then yesterday he gave us, again, a really inspiring talk about his work with C. elegans, which is a 1 millimetre long worm that apparently has always exactly the same number of genes and always exactly the same number of neuronal networks, and is a perfect model for studying how anaesthetics actually work. And it was mind-blowing, some of the things he showed in that talk.
He had some amazing video of C. elegans, and every gene for every connection and is all mapped out. And he showed the different colours lighting up in the worm as it went through the stages of excitation through to anaesthesia and then to really deep anaesthesia. It was fascinating.
And he managed to do that to U2 songs as well, which is even more impressive.
Yes, I think he got a big kick out of making that joke.
I think he did.
Actually, that was really good. I enjoyed that too. I think I always enjoy listening to Professor Eugenie Kayak. She's an anaesthetist and an environmental activist from Melbourne and an educator about sustainability. And I've heard her speak a number of times, but it's like when you go to, I remember one of my friends made this analogy, you go to a funeral and you're listening to the eulogy about the person, but you're actually sitting there reflecting about your own life, and her talks always make me think about, I've got to do more. I've got to waste less. I've got to stop flying around the world in business class. I've got to look at the drugs I'm using, use more propofol, recycle, etc. And I think she made a really good case about the urgency of this problem. I mean, we all know that it's urgent, but so she was terrific.
I agree, and in the podcast we did with her, again, really good point, where she comes out, as you said, again and again and again, if not us, then who? It's on us to kind of sort this problem out, isn't it? So, again, fantastic talks. And I also really enjoyed Ramani Munasinghe's talk. I mean, Ramani is a very good friend of the podcast, has done lots of sessions with us. I know her very well from the UK, but she's always so inspiring, always incredibly thought-provoking, but it always just sounds so clear when she puts her messages across. And she gets it across so eloquently on the talk. And same with Kevin Fong's session on anaesthesia is a risky business. There were so many anecdotal quotes that you could take from that talk and could be an inspiring session in their own right, and they just kept coming again and again and again and again. So great to hear from them too.
We also had some terrific Australian presenters and New Zealand presenters and presenters from the Faculty of Pain Medicine. There's a scientific element to the meeting with oral presentations and posters of original research, and there are various prize sessions, including one for the trainees, and then the flagship session is the Gilbert Brown Prize, which is named after one of the founders of the college. And 5 or 6 early career researchers present their work. And we heard some great presentations about hypotension in the recovery room and about ketoacidosis in post-operative patients and about septal send and shared decision making. So it's always a bit of an apple and an orange kind of how do you adjudicate that? But that they'll be receiving their the news about who won at lunchtime today. And then we had the breaking trials session, and this year we had 3 a pilot study and 2 secondary analyses of our fantastic ANZCA CTN randomised controlled trials, and we've recorded a podcast with 2 of the presenters from that session. So that's Chris Bain and Luke Perry, and so go and have a listen to that.
Really exciting work. I'm looking forward to seeing how that's going to pan out. Some really interesting studies there going on, and that leads us in nicely into the work of the CTN too, doesn't it? I mean, what your CTN has achieved over the years, and you summarised it very nicely yesterday with Professor Paul Miles and in your closing session. But I mean, it's phenomenal. The stats, the numbers, super impressive.
We established the Clinical Trials Network in 2003, so that's over 20 years ago. It was established by the College of Anaesthetists. It's the first trials group to be established and run by a college in Australia and New Zealand, and possibly around the world, I'm not sure. And because it was embedded in the college, it really involved all of the college fellows and trainees in the work of the CTN, because they support it through their subscriptions, and because of our network of training hospitals, we've got that network and that collegial thing in place already. So Paul went through why we need large, simple trials and the impact of some of our work, like the Be Aware trial and the Enigma trials about nitrous oxide. And then I talked about how the executive of the CTN's now moving from the pioneer generation to the next gen, so that's really cool. And also about how our trial coordinators, led by a group called ARCAN, the Anaesthesia Research Coordinators Network, they're on fire, doing great work to upskill all of the trial coordinators around the region. So that it was a good session.
And it's a big year for your CTN as well, isn't it? You've got a number of trials finishing soon.
Yes, we've got 4. We've got the ROCKET study, which is ketamine versus placebo and chronic pain after major surgery. We've got ITAX, which is about iron infusion in anemic cardiac surgery patients. We've got SNAP, which is sugammadex, neostigmine and post-operative pulmonary complications. And we have TRIGS, which is tranexamic acid in abdominal surgery and surgical site infection. So there's going to be a tsunami of great information, and then what's bigger than a tsunami of sub-studies and secondary analyses and stuff, so that will be really good.
Well, there's going to be a tsunami of publications too, and that leads us in nicely to, you always get a fantastic attendance at this meeting by all the big editors and editors-in-chiefs from all the main anaesthesia journals, and this year's been no exception. And we were really lucky to have a number of those come and chat to us on the podcast, but also do some fantastic sessions around the conference hall as well.
Yeah, so we had Hugh Hemmings from the British Journal of Anaesthesia, Laszlo Vutskits from Anesthesiology, Andrew Davidson, who's a fellow of the college. He is the editor-in-chief of Paediatric Anaesthesia. And we had Matt Wiles, who is the editor-in-chief of Anaesthesia. And we had Philip Payton, who's the editor-in-chief of Anaesthesia and Intensive Care, our own journal here in Australia and New Zealand.
And it was really interesting chatting to them all, because I think a lot of people sitting at home doing their own work in their own environments and hospitals think that these people are not approachable, or they're in a far off place and can't be contacted. But all of them were really, really keen to be contacted, to chat to people. They were all here looking for new research, for things to get into their journal, and they were all really keen to speak to early career researchers and young investigators and help them steer their work to be more publishable, weren't they?
They were, and they pointed out that there's been another tsunami, which is a tsunami of submissions to journals. Like, they're overwhelmed with the number of submissions, and it's really, really hard to tell them all apart and pick out the ones that are real, not fraudulent, and then which ones are of high quality and are impactful. And there's no doubt that, meeting an editor-in-chief and talking about whether your research is, going to be targeting the correct journal and whether that's something that's of interest to the journal, it's really important to develop those relationships. I'm sure there's no bias in the review process, but it certainly doesn't hurt to have a deeper understanding of the scope of the journal and what they're looking for.
And I think that's one of the big advantages for the early career researchers or the residents or the consultants at the start of their careers who are bringing work to present here in all the poster sessions or the abstract awards. And we talked about the Gilbert Brown Prize, but I mean, we did a fantastic podcast with Holly about her work, sponsored by Solventum or supported by Solventum, who've also helped us significantly at this meeting as well, and we should thank them for that. But I mean, that work is really, really important. That's where all this bigger trial work comes from, isn't it? It's early ideas like that. And then being here in person, presenting at a meeting like this, you can meet with the editors-in-chiefs of these journals and chat about taking that next stage.
And then you can listen to them on Top Med Talk on our app.
You can.
That's right. Well, Andy, it's been fantastic to spend time with you and all the Top Med Talk team putting this podcast together over the last week.
Same to you, Kate. Thank you, as always. What's next for you?
Well, in 3 weeks, I'm going to Lisbon to the European Society of Anaesthesiology, and we're making some more podcasts there. And then I think the next thing for you is EBPOM in London.
Absolutely.
What's EBPOM stand for again?
So EBPOM is the Evidence-Based Perioperative Medicine, and our meeting in London is the World Congress, which is always a fantastic occasion, big event. We've got a new venue this year, but again, always good speakers. So really encourage anyone to come and join us from there. And of course, Top Med Talk will be podcasting as well. And
London in June,
best time of year to come.
It may be sunny, possibly.
Well, it's Britain, but we can hope. We'll keep our fingers crossed. Bring a raincoat.
And then our next event after that is EBPOM in Ireland, which is a small but perfectly formed conference, I think we call it.
After this meeting, the ASM, of course, that's probably my favourite meeting of the year, and I think everyone should experience that meeting at least once. There was a lot of talk about it last night at the social occasions here, but it's such a unique feeling, that meeting. Very small, but sort of perfectly formed, as you say, very intimate. Everyone is mixing and mingling with everyone. There's a great social content in a beautiful location and always really good scientific speaking as well.
And there's abstracts. So if you're an emerging researcher who's got a passion for the western coast of Ireland, send in your abstract.
It's an international presentation, all the good points for those applications as well, yes.
Absolutely. And then we're in Texas at the ASA meeting. So that'll be exciting as well. We've got a big year.
So this is going to be my first year there. I've never been before, so I'm looking forward to it. But what should I expect, Kate?
Well, it's not like ANZCA.
Of course not. Of course not.
So it's a huge meeting. Over 10,000 people, often nearly 20,000, with multiple sessions going on at the same time. An enormous healthcare industry exhibition area with loads and loads of device and drug manufacturers and all sorts of other people, publishers and so forth. And the social program is completely different. It's based around departments really that hold alumni receptions and the like. They don't have the lunch in the exhibition area that we have, and they don't have an event every night where everybody's all gets together. And, that's the way they like to do it, which is great. But, I'd say in closing that our social events, in particular the dance party that we have at this conference, it really is the glue that kind of holds our fellowship together. And I think that's how we achieve such great training and such, high quality of clinical care. But it's also the thing that is the glue for our clinical trials network and the great research that we do.
I think it's only fair we finish by giving a huge thank you to the organising committee, the convening committee here in Cairns, who have put on a fantastic meeting. The whole department at the hostel has got behind the whole meeting. It was great to see them all on the dance floor last night and up with the band, which was a medical band, and the whole feeling of the meeting has been spectacular. So really huge thank you and well done to them. Great result.
And supported by the events team
Of course,
at ANZCA.
who are second to none, and they're brilliant. And again, helping us with Top Men Talk as well. So thanks to them.
And also Wallfly, the audiovisual provider for the meeting, has been great backup. Anyway,
Absolutely.
we should stop thanking people and thank our sponsors, who are BD and GE worldwide, and Solventum, who's our Australian sponsor. And without these sponsors, I wouldn't be able to bring Top Med Talk free and open access to the world. So looking forward to seeing you someplace around the globe soon, Andy.
Good luck in Lisbon.
Thank you.
Top Med Talk.
Thanks for downloading Top Med Talk. Don't forget to subscribe, check us out on YouTube, and of course on social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook and X. Also, it's important to remember that Top Med Talk is the broadcasting arm of EBPOM, evidence-based perioperative medicine. We'd love you to find out more about that, and the way to do that is ebpom.org. Check out our website and find out about some of the incredible conferences we're going to be arranging across the year. ebpom.org.